Today, Dr. Anthony Fauci and other health professionals working as part of the coronavirus response team for the federal government have testified before the Senate. And even before it started, we knew that there was going to be some news made that some in government might not like. Before it started, there were headlines like Fauci to warn Senate of needless suffering and death, apparently planning to tell everyone that opening preemptively would be a bad idea. And in fact, that was one of the first things he hit in response to a question. He said, if some areas, cities, states, or what have you jump over those various checkpoints which he had laid out and prematurely open up without having the capability of being able to respond effectively and efficiently, my concern is that we will start to see little spikes that might turn into outbreaks. I've been very clear in my message to try to the best extent possible to go by the guidelines, which have been very well thought out and very well delineated. And generally saying that the White House has put out standards supposedly to qualify in an informal sense to reopen. And Trump has decided, no, don't care about that. I'm just going to tell everyone to reopen. It doesn't matter if they're following our guidelines. And in fact, many of the states are not. And we also found out there had been a report put together. It was not released, but it was leaked to NBC News, showing that recently in many red states that are in the process of reopening or recently have, they are seeing an expansion of coronavirus cases that the White House doesn't want to acknowledge publicly.
Yeah, I saw some data over the weekend that, places, like you said, that have started to reopen, they're starting to see spikes, where places that have had strict social distancing measures, like big cities on the East Coast, are starting to see declines, which is great. But now it's going to spread in the rural areas. And if you have that kind of lackadaisical attitude, you're going to spread in places that would have been otherwise hard to reach. So I really hope people listen to medical professionals and not Trump or Lori Ingram or Tucker Carlson, because this is going to be catastrophic if we then have the spread in areas that, like I said, were otherwise hard to reach, like rural areas, the Midwest, the Great Plains, areas like that. This isn't about freedom or liberty, and you see this. You see the fight over the restaurant in Castle Rock, Colorado, and people showing up with guns and American flag T-shirts and Captain America shields and a 3%er T-shirt, which is incredible. But it's just like they're completely missing the point. Your freedom is not being infringed because you can't get a caramel macchiato like at a cafe. Like you are jeopardizing the health and safety of others around you. And the workers who are probably possibly being forced into that situation. It's just wait. Please just wait it out. Just stay at home. If you need it so bad, please just get it delivered. They're completely missing the mark. And a friend of mine pointed out on the sign they were comparing their situation and invoking the names of like Hitler and Stalin.
Oh my God.
Just absolutely warped. And I really hope that place gets shut down.
Yeah, and I wish that more of the American people, those participating in these lockdowns, those who are growing more frustrated with the quarantines and everything, although many of these states have opened up already, would realize the national level sleight of hand that has been perpetrated on them, mostly due to the fact that they have made the unfortunate decision to trust Fox News for their news, is that they are sitting at home. They are justifiably worried about their economic situation. They're worried that their jobs might not return, that their businesses might go under, that they might not be able to pay rent or for their mortgage. These are all understandable concerns. And the people that they've trusted in the media have said, well, if you are worried about that, and you should be, take it out on your mayor, take it out on your governor, force them to reopen, pretending that they can't say, hey, Mitch McConnell, maybe pass a bill. Hey, Trump, maybe push for some sort of aid. Maybe $1,200 was not all that the government could do for the American people. But no, they were taught $1,200, that's the limit. Don't expect anything more. Nothing else should come. And even if it does, that would be unconstitutional in some way. It would be infringing on the tree of liberty. Like the government, it's communism, basically, if the government helps us get through this incredibly difficult situation. And it's ridiculous because we know that if Mexico was invading, the conservatives wouldn't be saying, yeah, the government should send us $1,200 and that's it. We can defend ourselves with that. They shouldn't do anything more. But of course, in this situation, that's enough. And because of that, they're supporting reopening that the responsible medical professionals are saying is a bad idea. I really hope that we get through. I hope that there's a miracle Like right now, I've described it as they are rolling the dice on this thing. Maybe we'll get lucky and it'll come up, no big spikes. The last 2 days have been pretty good with numbers of cases and number of deaths largely going down. Yesterday was higher than 2 days ago, but largely have gone down. But now they're doing everything they can. Like if the virus was in charge of the response, it would be saying, just end the lockdowns as fast as you possibly can. And that's what we're doing. Hopefully we won't have an explosion in cases, but we are doing everything we can to maximize the chance that that will happen.
Right. And I think a point that we should consider here is that people are being kind of thrust into the situation unfairly. We talked about it before with the reopen protests. Like, people are now in a situation where, because there's no rent freezes, because they only got a one-time payment, if you're out of work, and in many states, it's difficult to even get unemployment benefits. I know tons of friends who are really struggling to get on, unemployment compensation or get like loans.
Yeah.
There's just tons of hoops to jump through. This payroll protection thing is making it increasingly difficult. They're being forced into the situation where they have to choose between going back to work or going broke. And that's not fair to them. The answer is, the government steps in and helps, or we have a rent freeze, or both. I would prefer both. So I think we have to acknowledge that the government needs to step in here. It's not risking your liberty or your freedom for them to help you, because we don't see the same complaints from the right when it comes to giving Ruth's Chris Steakhouse millions of dollars. 100%. No one complained on the right when the Lakers got $20 million. And granted, those institutions gave that money back. But that was their first response shows this really isn't about liberty or freedom or anything like that. It's about power and money protecting their own self-interests. And you are never going to be at the front of those considerations. You are not going to be their top concern or priority. So demand more. Be loud. Speak out. Don't go buy coffee at a coffee shop and jeopardize the health and safety of others. Speak out safely and securely from your own home without spreading this virus, and demand more. Hold your elected officials accountable.
Yeah, Lamar Alexander said yesterday, we don't have money to help everyone. But we handed trillions of dollars to businesses like that. It was no thought whatsoever. No, you remember the weeks of public debate we had where everyone across the country is weighing in, is this a good idea or not? No, because it didn't happen. They just passed it super fast.
Yep.
But an extra $750. I mean, we don't worry. What are we, Scrooge McDuck? We can't afford that. And finally, Trump was supposed to be different. That's what his base thinks. He's like a right-wing populist. He appeals to the regular Joe, even though he's a billionaire who literally craps on a golden toilet. And when the people were hurting, both physically in terms of their health and economically, what did he give them? In terms of government response, he gave them effectively what any Republican ever would have. And that's not really our responsibility. We don't want to spend any money. We're not going to do it. We're going to give money to the businesses. We're going to help out rich people. We're going to do that. We don't really care about you. And then just encourages them, uses the power of persuasion that he has, the bully pulpit that he has, to tell them, you should throw yourself willingly into the meat grinder to help out Tyson Foods and, Morgan Stanley and whatever. You should be converted. The working class should be ground up to help the economic elites. That's what the test of right-wing populism has shown us in 2020. It provides the exact same policy outcomes that any Republican would. It's just a little bit more persuasive in getting people to betray their own economic interests. Oh, and also heavy, heavy layering of xenophobia and racism on top of it, by the way. For more political news, breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.